right. Welcome back, and for the third quarter, this is the last hour with Travis. I'm your guest host, the prophet of fiction. That was another lovely song, wasn't it? Burning down the house. It's got a rhythm, something like that. But really, who writes our songs, as I asked again? Who writes Burning Down the House? Pyromaniacs? Oh no, it's innocent stuff. It's just for fun. No, don't think so much about the lyrics. I can hear millions of people saying that. Don't think about the lyrics. Just enjoy the music. Don't think at all. Life doesn't work well when you start thinking. Burning down the house. Yeah, we live in crazy times, friends. And, I was just going to launch into my little, what shall I call it? Dare I call it a sermon? This is a little lecture, I guess, on psychology, the psychology of Christianity. I hope I'm not stepping on anyone's overly sensitive toes. These are just words and thoughts. Well, let's begin. This is not, of course, not for the faint of heart. This little lecture is for people who are already doubting and asking some questions at least. So please, if you don't like viewing your from a fresh perspective, this is not for you. Maybe go somewhere else. Plenty of places where the faith can be expressed openly, and this is something different today. And my views will not condemn anyone to hell, I'm sure. If my life is any indication, I'm one of the most polite, generous, conscientious people you'll ever meet. But I might get some hate. I'm surprised, actually, I haven't gotten much hate on my YouTube channel. May it stay that way. I don't hate anyone. Let's begin with Mike, last week's caller. Mike, I should maybe apologize a little bit, although maybe I was also too polite. Yeah, I have to do both. I'm sorry, but I'm a little tired of callers who join me live on air and don't engage me, don't know how to converse. People have their comfort zones, and I didn't feel that Mike was connecting with anything I had said. So I'm not sure why he called. Questions about what I've said, they're also welcome. But my experience is that doesn't really happen. Even with the best intentioned callers, we don't seem to know how to engage in a conversation anymore. And, Jesus set the tone for that today, didn't he, in Matthew 23? Just a long rant. Well, I will grant Mike one point. We did speak about Melchizedek of Genesis 14, the first priest in the Bible. I said he was not a king, but I think Mike was right. He is. But let's pursue that a little bit. It's a bit strange. Melchizedek offered Abram wine and bread, just like a Catholic priest. And he is a priest. I think it's Paul called him a priest also. But he's a king, really. Shouldn't that make us stop and wonder? Of course, he's the prototype of Christ, the great priest and king of the Jews. He's both. Priest and king, a bit like a pope. But regarding Christ, that was all metaphor, wasn't it? Wasn't actually a priest, wasn't actually a king. regarding Melchizedek, and where did he come from in this chapter 14? Comes out of nowhere, thin air. Abraham just finished winning a war and winning some loot. Oh yeah, you gotta love loot. And this Melchizedek comes and says, give me 10% of your loot. It's a tax. 10% supposedly was the medieval tax rate. And Mike said that was fine. God deserves it. I say, what? Who said Melchizedek represents God? What proof exists for that? None. I am a priest of God too, if you like, so please give me 10% of your income. I wish it was that easy. No, I like to make my money honestly. Speaking of money, I do try to generate some income, not by monetizing my YouTube channel, but by selling, well, not to toot my horn, but good books, so I've been told. Two of them are up on Lulu, and more will come. I think one is called, as if I don't know. One is titled The Holy Spells, which is quite a cool review of all major and many minor religions. And the other is called Counterfeit Classics, which presents a lot of evidence that ancient Greece and ancient Rome are fictions. Yes, there was no ancient world. It's all a lie. Civilization is just a few centuries old. But I'm way, way, way off into the fields now, forgetting my own sermon here about Melchizedek. So he wanted the 10% and didn't do anything to earn it. Not that the Bible is sharing, not that the Bible says. Mike seemed to think that that's just fine. He has no problem with taxes, I guess. Good on you. Don't demand accountability or value for value taxation. Trust and faith in government. You're living the dream. After your enemies finish sucking your blood, you're sure to go to heaven for being so patient. That they like us to be. Very patient. Just keep voting. Just keep hoping. Keep praying. Now, here I am once again challenging people to think about their beliefs. Naughty, naughty me. I know last week Mike put on quite a display of learning as he poured out his considerable store of memorized quotations and ideas. He regurgitated his knowledge, but that is not thinking. If your knowledge came from a lifetime of questioning and evaluating, I can respect that. But that is not the case for most religious people. They don't want to question their religion, no more than most people want to question anything they believe in. I'm not just picking on religious people. I'm picking on everyone, equal treatment. Letting go of faith is uncomfortable. And that's the only way to start thinking critically, asking questions. Faith and thinking are really, I'm sorry, incompatible. It's just the way it is. Becoming a thinker isn't easy. Not many people want to face their mortality without faith. Thinking about your mortality is not so fun if you're not very mentally fit, and if you haven't at least half enjoyed your life. Most people just ignore their mortality. They don't need faith anymore. They're just too busy and drowning in distractions. People who believe they are immortal reject the evidence of their senses, and that means they accept nonsense. I'm playing with words here. No, I'm making the words make sense again. The senses can never support belief in an immortal soul. But the senses must absolutely be the ultimate basis and foundation for our beliefs. Just look at what happened in Spokane. Use your senses to look carefully at what happened there. That cannot be a wildfire. The senses provide the evidence. The mind understands what's there, sees the pattern, and knows we're being lied to. People who believe in things their senses don't confirm are like the man who stepped off a bus and sat down on the sidewalk thinking he's still on the bus. You don't need your senses to confirm it. Just believe it. Sit down on the sidewalk and you'll be at your destination as soon as you wish it to be. It's like being the man who was divorced, spent the rest of his life imagining that he is still married. Yes, it's like the man whose daughter died or disappeared. So he started talking to his imaginary daughter. Yeah, we do get sometimes we feel like we need to believe things that the senses will not confirm. We're in an uncomfortable place. We've been emotionally traumatized, and we resort to the imagination. We'll call it faith. We respect our senses in almost all mundane matters. Daily life, our right foot, our left foot. How we drive. When I step on a nail, I respect my sense of pain and remove the nail. When I wish to cross a street on foot and see an oncoming vehicle, I respect my sense of sight. And yet, although our senses tell us that nothing comes after death, we insist. We want to believe it isn't true, and we deploy our imagination to support our fantasy. Why? Because the thought of death makes most of us uncomfortable. Why? Because we feel it is cheating us. Why? Because we haven't enjoyed life enough, and we're not mentally fit enough to deal with our mortality. That is all. But it's time. It's time to get mentally fit and start asking questions about everything, including our mortality. Death isn't the only challenging idea. Who wants to believe that their government is facilitating the intentional burning of our homes? Who wants to believe that our government is faking wars to keep us scared, faking traumatic images like the explosion of, what was that, space shuttle with the teacher in it, televised to millions of students? Who thought of that? I mean, that was faked? What kind of sick people would do that? Well, we're ruled by sick people. This time we dealt with that and saw the evidence. Grow a set of balls and start examining the evidence that we are being manipulated and fakers and liars and sadists and worse are in charge. And worse. I don't need to talk about cannibalism and adrenochrome all the time, do I? Let's get even more psychological. I believe it's dangerous to believe in immortality. Why? Because it tricks us into feeling comfortable when we shouldn't feel comfortable. Belief in immortality makes you more likely to waste your time and take unnecessary risks. If you're immortal, why not tolerate a boring and annoying life? Why not? Why not tolerate being abused? You have infinite time. Life will eventually improve, right? Even if you do nothing, you might even be rewarded for your patience, your docility. How lovely. Isn't that the example Jesus set for us? He threw his life away on the cross. He submitted to his execution by the state without a word of protest. He never questioned the imperial cult of the Roman Empire. He never challenged the empire's creation of slavery and violent entertainments. He never questioned the right of Jews to practice usury or fractional reserve banking. He failed to ask any important questions. Instead of questioning and having a rational discussion with Jewish authorities, he verbally attacked them with unfounded and unprovable accusations. Of course, not thinking and passively believing is not exclusive to religious people. And quite a spectrum of intelligence exists among religious people. Moreover, most atheists are no different. Many atheists are sadists who enjoy mocking theists to inflate their own egos. I've had more than enough experience with atheists. But most atheists have their own gods: sports cars, sports stars, politicians, actors, celebrities, billionaires, or they worship money, big boobs, or whatever else appeals to them. Beer. They rarely question their beliefs, and they are rarely comfortable with their mortality. Well, religion really pulled the veil over our eyes. Not one religion warned us about governments and empire. Not one warned us about fractional reserve banking, cancer, heart disease, fake science, fake weapons, and the real weapons out there, those secret ones, some of them attached to our homes, I guess. Well, none of them warned us about the aristocrats that rule this world. Why didn't any of the holy prophets warn us that our rulers would trick us into wasting our youth on education? Our schools fill children's heads with nonsense and train them to memorize instead of to think, and to obey instead of to learn by imitation of good parents. No, the parent must be replaced. The family must be destroyed. Well, it is fully destroyed. Most parents don't have much good to share with their children, as they are also products of the education system. We're going to have to undo this damage. Eventually, it will be undone. I can't imagine how this new generation of children is going to function in any way. Economically, they're not functioning in our schools. They're less capable of thinking than any other generation. But they're so rebellious. How are they ever going to tolerate what our masters have planned for us? Maybe that will backfire. Well, maybe that's why they have prisons. These maybe data centers are actually half of them are prisons. Who knows? What did we call them during COVID? I forgot the word. Anyway, let's save the children. Save them from, no, not from child trafficking. That's another psyop. The powers that should not be, do not want, are toxic children. I'm sure they're farming children underground, nice, clean, organic children for their special needs. No, our children, they need to be saved from this world we've funded, mind-dumbing schools and mind-numbing work, slave culture. I hope I'm not being too hard on schools. I am a tutor, and I have done a bit of teaching at different levels, mostly private tutoring. I know our school system, especially the Canadian one, quite well. Well, a little more on the Bible. That was enough psychology. Do you know how old is this Bible? Really, I don't think it's it's a tenth as old as they tell us. Maybe just a tenth. These secret weapons, like we talked about, maybe electromagnetic, microwave weapons being used to start forest fires, not to mention fire accelerants sprayed on our trees, making fires burn hotter than ever. Firefighters have testified to that. These fires of the past few years are burning hotter than they should. So, but back to the Bible. In Revelation, we have the Ark of the Covenant up in the sky, producing lightning flashes. Well, I've gone into more detail in this in other lectures and in my book. Yeah, it seems like the Ark of the Covenant might be an electric weapon or a symbol for one. Yeah, I do believe they had electricity long ago. Pillars, the double pillars of the Freemasons. Those are the electrodes, diode, anode, and the arc between those two pillars, also in Masonic imagery, symbolism, is the arc, the electric arc that is produced by electrodes. And you might remember, if you know your Bible, during I think it's the Passion, prior to the crucifixion, Jesus was quite stressed out, and the Gospels say, compare his sweating to the sweating of blood. Well, that's a strange metaphor to use. How do we sweat blood? Turns out that you can sweat blood if the electric charge going through your body is neither too high nor too low. They know, and I believe they used electricity to execute their human sacrifices. Jesus was a human sacrifice. Electricity could just render us a sacrifice, a human sacrifice, unconscious before the bloodletting happens. You don't actually have to kill the victim. You can stay fresh because he's unconscious while he's having his blood stolen, maybe organs stolen too. If you want to live forever, or just a little longer, just keep replacing your organs and transfusing blood from younger people, preferably infants, I suppose. Well, it's an ugly story. I've thought and discovered too much evidence. Thought about it too much. Back to the land. I mean, when you realize where we are and how inescapable this golden cage is, maybe that's inspiration to go back to the land. I don't really think of it as an escape, like a desperate solution to a terrible situation. No, I do believe it will be beautiful, wonderful. I guess I can say that in part because I'm a product of a farming family and I have a passion for gardening, a bit of landscaping, being outdoors, the sanity of Mother Nature, peace that comes there. It's such a healthy hobby. gardening. They used to have them in prisons, gardening programs. But I guess they were so good that they took them away. Virtually no prison has a gardening program anymore. Doesn't matter that they were saving money by producing food for themselves, and doesn't matter that they were becoming less, the prisoners were becoming more contented. No, it doesn't matter. They have to suffer. They must smart, and they must hurt. Suffering is good, isn't that what we're taught? Not only by the Christian religion. I think it's part of the Buddhist religion too. So, but speaking about the land again, and fire, how did we get here? Well, I think we're just repeating the fire scenario. This civilization started with fire when the people that should not be in power, that should not have power, burned down all the food forests of the world and imposed this new world order with agriculture and so on. I think I spoke about that in my previous show. So it began with fire. They took everything. They took our food away from us and made us desperate, our ancestors anyway. And some of our ancestors caved and fell for this new world order, accepted the food given to them by their enemies and the opportunities given to them. It's the story of Job, too. Satan took everything away. And, well, what does he have left? Nothing. And how is he going to survive? He'll have to look for a job. Yes, it's a pun. Job will need a job. This is not a frivolous and made-up pun. No, this was planted by the authors. The authors were multilingual. They did know their English, German, many other languages. The Book of Babylon. Well, we'll take a break. I'll be back in a few minutes for the last quarter.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Health Simple with Colorado Shilajit. Fact bit number 2. In Ayurvedic pharmacology, Shilajit is the king Raja Yoga Vahayana. Rajayana is one of the comprehensive disciplines of Ayurveda. It comprises of specialized uses of herbal minerals to achieve the optimum state of health. Rajayana is a path to achieve homeostasis and thus retarding the process of aging and the prevention of diseases. Shilajit stands alone as the king herbal mineral over all other earth-made substances. Within Rajayana, Shilajit is the ultimate substance that improves quality of plasma and blood. Thus, it strengthens and promotes health to all tissues of the body. Legit Shilajit, like Colorado Shilajit, is as the literal Sanskrit translation implies. Shilajit is the conqueror of mountains and the destroyer of weakness.
Look for the gold mountain and medical symbol logo in banners on republicbroadcasting.org to watch the full video and see more information. Use code GORBN when ordering. That's GORBN.
Extendivite, a 7-herb combination of garlic, cayenne, hawthorn, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, valerian, and milk thistle. Extendivite is designed to strengthen the heart and arteries and help the body heal itself. Doctors are not able to explain the improvements they are seeing in their patients' health who are taking Extendivite. People who once needed more pills are now taking less and getting better. Due to the unexplainable improvements in their patients' health, more doctors are calling to order Extendivite for themselves. Help Extendivite make your doctor a believer. Extendivite is available in capsule or liquid form for just $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To get started, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite. John Moore, the Liberty Man, on RBN from 7 to 10 with highly qualified guests. Monday through Friday, we talk about a range of topics. Day to day, helping you find your way through the chaos in store. John Moore, the Liberty Man, his website is second to none. Visit thelibertyman.com. Remember John Moore, from 7 to 10 and tune him in. John Moore, the Liberty Man.
I'm so excited to have you as part of the Wild Pastures family, and we look forward to bringing you the pasture-raised meats that you and your family will love. Now, we started Wild Pastures because so many of my clients would tell me they just couldn't find high-quality pasture-raised meats, and even when they did, it was so expensive that they couldn't afford to eat it regularly. Now, I'm not talking about the bottom-of-the-barrel healthy meats that have claims like natural or free-range or even cage-free, terms that were actually created by the industrial food industry to make us feel all warm and fuzzy about buying their low-quality products. I'm talking about truly nourishing pasture-raised meats, the kind that you'll never really find in a grocery store. Our farmers are doing things beyond organic. Our beef is 100% grass-fed and grass-finished and raised on pastures free from chemicals and other pesticides. Our chickens are 100% pasture-raised, where they get their natural diet of grass and forage and insects. We will never settle for free range, which is actually one of the most deceptive terms in the chicken industry. In fact, less than 0.1% of the chicken consumed in the United States is truly pasture-raised in the way that ours is. And our pork is 100% pasture-raised as well. So if you care about where your food comes from, then you have definitely made it to the right place. As a Wild Pastures member, you'll be supporting the most highly principled farmers in America and getting the most nutrient-dense, nourishing, and sustainable meats in the world. I'm confident you'll love being part of our mission at Wild Pastures, and you will really love the delicious, nourishing meats that we're going to deliver straight to your door.
Visit republicbroadcasting.org and click the Wild Pastures banner ad. Secure a shipment today. Beef, poultry, and pork, raised the way nature intended.
In for Travis on the last hour. So the final hour with Travis, yes. Another great classic from the 80s, Highway to Hell by AC/DC, a band named after electricity. I believe AC/DC was that the name for a type of current, alternating current. I'm not an electrician, but what a strange name to give your band. And what a strange song to sing. I'm on the highway to hell. It's like he's happy about it. It's cool, man, going to hell. Now, I'm not a believer, you know that by now. But hell still has metaphorical meaning for us non-believers who think increasingly perhaps that, well, we're in hell now, and you listen. When I listen, I'm a bit older than I was in the 80s. So listening to that band, that kind of heavy rock. Is it metal? I don't know. You think these people are possessed. They are demons on stage. That's not normal, healthy human behavior, that way of singing. Never mind the lyrics anymore. You can just feel it. We're in crazy times. And, well, music hasn't gotten better since the 80s. On the contrary, I would argue. Maybe let's be done with the music. I have some more reading to do. As I'm out of material from my notes, fortunately I have 1.5 million words in my 6 books, so I just have to find something that works for today, and I did find something in my Encyclopedia Comedia. This is about fake forts and castles, and it will connect to what I was saying just before the break about our ancestors and native peoples of the world being having their food forests just burned to the ground, burned to nothing. So it's happening again. But when those forests were destroyed, those who survived were tricked into entering fortresses and castles and underground prison farms eventually. Maybe first into churches and cathedrals. Okay, I'm back from where I'm back. I was just about to read, and this piece, yes, is about fake forts and castles, and it's all connected to my belief, based on some evidence, that the war narrative is a lie. And, well, if the war narrative is a lie, I had to start doing some investigating into forts and castles. What was their true purpose? If it was not, if they were not military defensive structures, what were they? Well, before I answer that question, let's confirm my belief that wars are fake by examining some stories about armies attacking castles. You'll find this amusing, I think. Allegedly, during the Scottish Wars of Independence, Scottish commander Sir James Douglas, the Black Douglas, needed to infiltrate the English-held Roxburgh Castle. To surprise the enemy, he reputedly disguised 60 men in black cloaks and cowhides. Then they crept up to the castle walls at night on their hands and feet so they looked like roaming cattle in the field. This ruse allowed them to scale the walls and capture the fortress by surprise. Oh, this silly comedy is not plausible history. Correct me if I'm wrong. No, this is a joke. A joke like the 80 Years' War between Israel and Palestine, and the war now between the giant Russia and little Ukraine. You understand the name, Ukraine, UK reign. It's all part of the Western Empire. The whole world is. But back to castles. Shakespeare recycled the Black Douglas tall tale in Macbeth. In that play, the English army cut branches from the trees of Burnham Wood and carried the branches in front of them as they marched towards Dunsinane Castle. Dunsinane sounds insane. The silly camouflage tactic was invented to deceive Macbeth lookouts. Yeah, I mean, soldiers do dress in camouflage, but they don't walk around carrying branches. According to legend, during the prolonged siege, the Hohensalzburg fortress was running out of food. The garrison had only one bull left. The commander ordered it painted different colors and displayed it to the starving enemy outside their walls at various points along the castle walls, each time with a different color. This tricked the enemy into believing the fortress was so well supplied with fresh livestock that the defenders could afford to waste them. Therefore, the enemies gave up and withdrew. Again, this is comedy, not history. These are some of the silly stories contrived by the liars who stuffed history full of war stories so that we wouldn't know our true history. But if castles and fortresses were not really defensive structures, what were they? I believe they were prisons, barns, and corrals for humans, mostly. This theory was accidentally supported by Kevin Hicks of the History Squad, a YouTube channel, during his informative tour of White Castle in Wales. He noticed that the innermost gate could only be locked from the outside. Initially baffled, he quickly decided that this feature existed in case enemy troops surmounted the walls. So you could run out of your castle quickly and lock the enemy into your castle. Then he confidently speculated that defenders would rush outside. Lock the enemy inside. That's too funny. Try to imagine enemies climbing over a castle wall and being locked inside because the people rushed out and quickly locked the door from the outside. Obviously, not every enemy knight would enter the castle, and if all of them did, they could leave following the same route. What was his name? Kevin Hicks needed an alternative theory, but wasn't ready to throw away his belief that castles are defensive structures. Yes, the inner gate was locked from the outside because castles and fortresses are actually prisons. Prisons for who? Our ancestors. Native peoples around the world. You keep them in prison for a generation or two, separate the children from the parents, and within a generation, I guess, or two, they'll have no memory of the past because parents won't be able to tell their children how life was and maybe should be. So they created blank slates, in a sense, and that's how they got us started with our belief in governments, belief in money, belief in agriculture, belief in various religions. I think that's how it all happened. It was a global project orchestrated by an aristocratic class of sick people who numbered, even 200 years ago, in the millions. A few million, maybe 2 million, I don't know. It's hard to calculate, As I've pointed out before, the old world colonial city, for example, in Mexico City, could have accommodated, I think, 50, 100,000 aristocrats. And where are they now? Yes, they've put on their masks, walking around pretending to be Jesuits, Jews, Freemasons, knights of various orders. Anyway, they can have their masks. I've actually torn them off already. Where was I? Castles. Let's consider the infamous medieval castle named the Bastille, Saint Antoine in Paris, France. Allegedly, this castle was built to defend the eastern approach to the city from potential English attacks during the ridiculous 100 Years' War. However, the site where the castle stood is now deep within the city, where it could not have a defensive purpose. Old paintings portray it on the outskirts of Paris. But are those paintings reliable? Coincidentally, after the Middle Ages, the Bastille was reputedly repurposed into what? Into a prison. It's a hint. Anyway, can you try to imagine a 1,000 soldiers locking themselves up in a castle and waiting. What do they do there? They wait for the enemy to come to the gates, and then they start to fight. Is that the purpose of a castle? Is that where soldiers can hide until the enemy comes? It just doesn't make any sense. The enemy would just ignore it, walk around it, and say, "We'll take your city. You can stay in your castle. Thank you." It doesn't make any sense. The castle, like chateau. Chateau is a French word that also means castle. Not the same in English. Chateau de Vincennes, how do you pronounce that? Vincennes, stands 6 kilometers from the site where the Bastille once stood. Its history is quite similar to the Bastille's history. The Chateau de Vincennes originally served as both a royal residence and a military fortress, so we are told. That's what they want us to believe. They want us to believe a nation's president, really king, would live on a military base. But historians tell us that at the end of the 15th century, King Louis XI gave the Chateau de Vincennes a new purpose. It would also serve as a prison. Hello. Yeah, that was the original purpose, not the new purpose. Right now, we have both prisoners and soldiers. So this meant that it was the king's residence, plus it was a place for prisoners and soldiers. They would live with the king in the same structure. Historians assure us that at the king's request, only high-profile prisoners were imprisoned in the chateau. No, you wouldn't want lower-class prisoners living with you. Only high-profile, classy prisoners. Yeah, like the people in charge. Maybe that's the joke there, right? All the people who rule us are actually high-profile criminals. Fortunately, to help alleviate our sense of nonsense, historians admit that in the following century, French sovereigns moved to a more comfortable pavilion in the southwest corner of the compound or fortress. Yeah, they didn't want to live too close to those high-profile prisoners. Got a little tired of that. Afterwards, the keep or castle only served as a prison for important criminals. For example, in 1574, the very important Henry of Navarre, the future Henry IV, was placed under house arrest in that castle for his involvement in the malcontents conspiracy with the Duke of Alençon. Imagine being imprisoned for plotting to overthrow your country's leaders, then being released and somehow overthrowing the leaders of your country. Yes, he did become the future Henry IV. Well, it's absurd, of course, unless we remember that the word. Well, let's skip that. But it does remind me of something else. Hitler's imprisonment. He spent a good year in jail, didn't he? And some 8 or 9 years later, he became the second most powerful man in Germany. This makes complete sense, yes. Complete sense. No, it only makes sense if the people in power are, what's the word, producing theater for us, pure theater, political theater. I'm sure Hitler wasn't actually in a jail, in a real prison. And the book he wrote, he allegedly wrote, may well have been written by a Jesuit, as I have read, according to someone else. Well, prisons. I'm looking at a picture of the Vatican City wall. It's enormous. Has no windows. Could that entire complex have been a prison? Star forts, were they perhaps also prisons? I'm looking at a picture of the southeast corner tower in Beijing, known by Westerners as Fox Tower. Fox is code for 666, because F is the 6th letter, O is the 15th letter, X is the 24th letter of our alphabet. That castle gained infamy in 1937 when the mutilated body of a young British woman was found at its base. What's up with that? It's the high base. This fortress, it's like a tower. I think the bottom 30 feet have no windows. The next 25 feet have little windows, like it's not exactly designed for snipers. And it does date, this thing's pretty old, I guess. Maybe predates firearms. Well, castles. Need to add something more. I live here in Mexico, and there is a local, I'm going to call it a legend, but about a walled complex here. The walls are 15 feet high. They think it was for a factory. No, I'm sorry, my friends, that was a prison. But that's it for today. Quite exhausting for me. I hope it's been enjoyable, enlightening. Please visit me at my YouTube channel, Prophet of Fiction. Support me if you can. Contact me at prophetoffiction@proton.me. Thank you. Have a great week, a great evening, great sleep, everything great. Take care.
I'll take you to burn.
publicly admits that income tax is collected by voluntary compliance. Get the information you need to help you avoid income tax with these 5 easy steps. All you have to do is go to avoidincometax.com to get your 5 easy steps on how to avoid the IRS income tax. Escape the IRS. Let avoidincometax.com help you. We guarantee our 5 easy steps or your money back. Go to avoidincometax.com.
Susanna's Secret, Real Essential Oils of Nature, would like to thank you and RBN listeners for your previous purchases. We're announcing that we have a new waterless diffuser in stock with a full 1-year warranty. You just insert the bottle to the top, screw it in, tip it upside down, set your timer, or it's also motion activated at FURION.com. That's FURION.com. That's FURION.com.